Do you ever catch yourself thinking about the chances you didn't take? Ever look back and wonder, what if I had just gone for it? Author Dan Pink uncovered something surprising in the World Regret Survey. Among the 16,000 participants, the majority regretted the things that they didn't do much more than the things that they did. Hi there, I'm Anne. I've been leading teams for over 17 years, and looking back, there were times that I didn't take action because of fear or self doubt that I regret. While I can't change the past, I can learn from it, and I've worked hard to overcome my limiting beliefs and have turned my disappointment into fuel for growth. Today, I'll share the 5 most common issues that hold us back from doing the hard things that I've observed in the employees I've supervised, the clients I've coached, and in me most of all. Then I'll share the simple strategies that help us move past regret and into action. If you stick around to the end, you'll hear my personal secret to success. Easily, the biggest issue I run into when trying to do anything that feels remotely difficult is not getting started in the first place. What holds me back from starting is my inner critic. The things that I say to myself, I'd never dream of saying to anyone else. Things like, how could you be so stupid? What were you thinking? You'll never learn. And that kind of self talk doesn't just hurt, it can feed feelings of guilt, worthlessness, and even anxiety or depression. My inner critic doesn't inspire me or encourage me to take healthy risks. Here's the thing, many of us believe that being tough on ourselves will make us better, but research shows that it's just the opposite. Being kind to ourselves is actually the most effective way to encourage real, lasting change. That brings me to the first strategy of practicing self compassion. Kristen Neff is a leading expert in this field. She describes self compassion as recognizing that mistakes and struggles are just part of being human. That when you practice self compassion, you accept yourself for who you are, flaws and all. But let's be real, it's not always easy and probably feels completely foreign. It did for me at first, which is why some people struggle when they first start practicing self compassion. This is especially true if you are taught that being compassionate towards yourself is weak or selfish, or that it means you're just wallowing in self pity. I used to believe that it meant not taking responsibility for my mistakes. These myths and more have been debunked through research, but deep rooted beliefs like these can make it harder to be kind to yourself. We all have the capacity for compassion. The essential shift is to include ourselves in that circle of compassion that we naturally show to others. When I'm stuck in a negative self talk loop, I think of someone that I care about, like my daughters or my best friend. What would I say to them if they were in the same situation? How would I say it? How would I want them to feel? Then I would use those same kind words in the same tone and care towards myself. I would say things like, that was tough. You're not alone. You're doing the best you can. I am so proud of how far you've come. I'm not going to lie, I felt really awkward practicing this at first, but I reminded myself that self compassion is like a muscle that I haven't exercised before, and it will get easier with practice. Before I move on, I want to let you know that I've pulled together a free resource with the strategies, guiding questions, and more to help you tackle your next hard thing. Just click the link in the description. Another really common problem people run into while trying to move through challenges is the fear of failure. This fear held me back in the past, and I continue to actively work on overcoming it. In Western culture, we're taught to avoid mistakes at all costs. And with social media showing only the polished story reels of everyone's lives, it's easy to feel like you're the only one making mistakes, that mistakes are unacceptable. But the truth is, mistakes are unavoidable. Julie Smith is the author of Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before? And I really took to heart her reminder that life isn't about avoiding problems. It's about building the tools to handle them when they come. The same applies to mistakes. It's not if they'll happen, but how we respond when they do. It's okay to feel discouraged when things go wrong. I acknowledge those feelings, but consciously work to try not to dwell on them. Instead, I try to see mistakes as learning opportunities. This brings us to strategy number 2 of redefining failure. Looking back, every skill that I've mastered came with its share of mistakes. When I'm training a new employee, I remind them that growth takes time and skipping the struggle simply isn't possible. Yet, I get it. It's hard for me to accept this too sometimes. What if we expected our mistakes and gave ourselves the grace to learn and grow? This is where a growth mindset comes in. Psychologist Carol Dweck explains that a growth mindset is a belief that you can improve with practice, effort, and learning. The beliefs that we have about our abilities impacts our behaviors. These beliefs are not facts, but thoughts that we think in order to stay safe. Words matter. The good news is that we can unlearn unhelpful beliefs and shift to thoughts that inspire progress. Reframing is a great place to start. It acknowledges what happened while opening the door to a perspective that helps us move forward. Here are two simple mindset shifts that I've used to redefine failure for myself. When I seem to make mistake after mistake, instead of thinking, I failed, so I'm a failure, I think, failure helps me get better. I've grown to understand that failing doesn't define me. It's an essential part of learning. When new skills take longer than planned to learn, I've swapped, I'll never get it, with, I can improve with practice. I try to treat failure not as a stop sign, but as a sign to keep trying. When a growth mindset is embraced, failure stops being a dead end and becomes an essential part of the journey. It allows us to reflect, learn, and approach challenges differently next time. Before I share the third strategy, I'd like to ask you something. Why do you even want to do this hard thing? Maybe you haven't identified what you want to do yet, but you just know that you want to make a change. That's okay. I think this still applies. Something that I've struggled with when trying to make progress is lack of clarity, purpose, or relying on external motivators like pleasing others. Without a clear why or understanding of the personal connection to the goal, I've struggled to push through challenges. That's why strategy number 3 is about finding the purpose that drives us. This can seem daunting. I had the misconception that I had to know my life's purpose, but I realized that it doesn't have to be this big declaration that I commit to for the rest of my life. Rather, it's a work in progress to figure out what excites me and fulfills me. There are different ways to uncover the purpose that drives us. One way is to identify the core values that shape our decisions. Our core values represent who we truly are. They dictate the choices we make, and they are what drives us, often without our knowledge. If you're uncertain about what they might be for you, try reflecting on your biggest regrets. In The Power of Regret, Dan Pink explains that our regrets often reveal our core values. Typically, we wish we had acted differently when our decisions conflict with those values. My hard thing that I'm actively working on is starting this YouTube channel. You may be thinking, how does starting a YouTube channel connect with her values? In the beginning of this video, I shared that I regret the opportunities that I missed due to self-doubt, fear of failure, all of my limiting beliefs. But those regrets have fueled my drive to continually learn and grow. Not because I'm not enough as I am, but because my personal growth enriches my life and it benefits those around me. Personal growth is one of my core values, and this channel has done an amazing job of pushing me to confront nearly every single one of my limiting beliefs and tackle them head on. I'm not saying that aligning my values has made this process a walk in the park. It's actually the opposite, and sometimes it's been quite painful. But because this challenge is tied to one of my core values, I'm willing to go through the struggles, and sometimes I welcome it. Bottom line, we're much more likely to move forward when we're driven by our own purpose and values rather than trying to meet someone else's expectations. This is a complete shift from my younger self. I was conditioned to put others' needs before my own, and some of the decisions I made were based on what I thought I was expected to do. As a recovering people pleaser, it's likely going to be a long journey for me to retrain my brain. But starting with self awareness, setting boundaries, aligning my actions with my values, and connecting my goals to my personal why has helped me to move out of the desire to achieve for others and focus on the actions that fulfill me. Now, I want to pause here for a second to make something clear. This video isn't about chasing achievement for the sake of it. Your worth isn't tied to how productive or accomplished you are. Constantly striving for more isn't the path to fulfillment. It can lead to dissatisfaction and burnout. Unfortunately, I speak from experience. I used to feel that time well spent meant getting everything checked off on my to do list, and that list was usually unrealistic and filled with things I thought that I should do instead of what I wanted to do. But I learned a lot of valuable lessons, and I'm here to share them to help others avoid some of my mistakes. Once we're starting to do the hard thing, another common pitfall is that we typically focus on the destination and overlook the journey. Waiting until we reach the goal to celebrate can result in a brief feeling of accomplishment if we even get that far. Our brains need to experience wins during the process to keep going. It craves it and it could run out of steam without it. This brings us to strategy number 4 of celebrating success throughout. What comes to mind to you when you think of the word success? For many, it's defined by society, things like wealth, status, or big milestones. And while there definitely are positive aspects to those, focusing too much on them can lead to stress, fear of failure, or even loss of self. On the other hand, success doesn't have to be about big things. It exists in the small wins we achieve every day. Celebrating those moments not only boosts our confidence, but also makes the journey richer and we're more likely to follow through. It can be as simple as taking 1 minute to reflect on what we've accomplished that day, no matter how small it might seem. Those little victories build momentum and can make the process more valuable than the goal itself. Personal growth, resilience, and self discovery are easy to miss when we only focus on the finish line. Here's how this looks for me right now. My regular day job is phenomenally boring to my kids. They can't imagine why I like it at all. So it's been a minor miracle that they've taken an interest in my YouTube channel. They've been reviewing my scripts, providing feedback on my recordings, and my oldest has even been taking care of the video editing. They've been my biggest supporters, and it means so much to me to be on this journey with them. It has already been a worthwhile experience. Did I mention that my teenage daughter is helping me? Willingly. That alone is a huge success. I could define success as the number of views or subscribers, but this is my first video and I have zero in both. Don't get me wrong, I do hope that people will watch my videos and subscribe to see more, hint, hint. But when I focus on all that I've gained so far, all of the small wins, it genuinely feels rewarding. I'm excited knowing that if I stick with it, I might be a different person a year from now because I will have had so much practice overcoming my limiting beliefs. If I stick with it. That brings us to problem number 5, which is feeling so overwhelmed by the process that we quit. People often think that meaningful pursuits can only be achieved by spending loads of time and effort each day. In my experience, big changes rarely come from big actions. They're usually the result of small, consistent steps. That's why the antidote to overwhelm is taking one small step at a time. When things feel like too much to handle, I break them down into bite sized pieces. I ask myself, what's one action I can take today to move the needle towards my goal? By focusing on just that, I'm less likely to feel stuck or make excuses. When I started this YouTube channel, the steep learning curve felt really intimidating, and honestly, it still does at times. My brain has this tendency to try to do everything at once, which isn't possible, so naturally I start panicking. When I become aware that I'm hyperventilating, I will literally chant one step at a time, taking deep breaths until I feel calm enough to focus on just one step. And here I am now. Does this sound too simple? Well, that's kind of the point. The beauty and the effectiveness is in its simplicity. After I embraced this concept, it helped me get through every single challenge I faced since, big and small. What's your one small step you can take today? Before I share my secret to success, let me know in the comments of any strategies you use to tackle tough challenges that I didn't mention. Because after first reviewing the outline for this video, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing for me. When I realized what it was, I had to laugh at myself because it's actually rather telling that I forgot this one. So, I'm throwing in a bonus strategy, which is don't go it alone. You may have heard the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. But sharing the journey can feel scary because of the fear of failure or judgment from others. Brene Brown reminds us in The Gifts of Imperfection that shame thrives in secrecy. Even when things don't go as planned, sharing your struggles with someone you trust can build resilience, help you navigate challenges, and hold you accountable to making your dreams a reality. The secret to my success is that I realize motivation is a myth. Growing up, I thought that motivation was the magic ingredient for getting things done. But honestly, if I waited to feel motivated, this video wouldn't exist. Many of the things worth doing just wouldn't get done. Most of the time, it's not the ambitious version of me confidently tackling my day. It's the show up in sweats because staying all day in bed is socially unacceptable version. The practical me develops habits that nudge along the uninspired me to take that one step forward, even on days when I'm just not feeling it. That's the underwhelming but life changing secret to my success. That, along with the 5 strategies I've shared, helped me to accomplish the things that matter to me, like starting this YouTube channel. And I'm proud of how far I've come. Not just for getting to the point of filming this video, which, don't get me wrong, feels very satisfying. And thank you so much for watching, but also for how much I've grown in the process. And the best part, this journey isn't over yet. What truly helped me was thoroughly exploring each of the methods I covered in this video. Because while they are simple, I am rewiring over 40 years of default thinking and social conditioning, and that takes a lot of time and practice. So, this is the first of a 6 episode series to help us go deeper. Let's keep on this journey together because we're capable of so much more than we realize. In the next episode, I'll share a life changing epiphany about self compassion. See you there.